This tutorial is for Clue 3 of the Indivisible pattern by Johanna Huck for the 2024 Mystery Crochet Along from Expression Fiber Arts. As in my other videos, the timestamps are linked in the video description below so that you can jump to the round that you need. Specifically for this video, I'm going to be working through all the way through round 7. So the repeated rows, round 4, round 5, round 6, and round 7. At the beginning of each one of those, I'm going to briefly discuss how to work those rounds when you do the repeats, and to what you need to do to check your stitch counts and things like that. So you should be able to jump back to, so when you finish round 7, you can jump back to the timestamp for round 4, and it will have enough information that you can work round 8, because there will be information at the beginning and the end to talk about stitch counts, where your new stitches go and things like that. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm really going to do my best to stay on screen. This is actually the third time I've tried to make this video because the pertinent parts I keep getting off the screen, so I'm going to try really hard to stay on screen this time. So to begin, we're going to do the magic ring and do a chain 1 and then work 8 single crochets into the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going to close up my magic ring, and I'm just going to make sure that all of the tops of my single crochets are here on the outside before I pull that closed. Get my tail out of the way, and then we just slip stitch into that first single crochet to join in the round. And at this point in the instructions, she has you add a stitch marker right there to indicate the beginning of round. I am finding it hard when I try to do this with the stitch marker in there. It makes it really fiddly for me. So I'm not putting the stitch marker in, but just know that the stitch marker goes in where you just made that slip stitch. All right. To begin round 1, we start with the chainless starting double crochet, and I did this at the beginning of the Clue 1 video, and then I didn't include this information in the Clue 2 video. So if you haven't seen the Clue 1 video, this is for that. If you have, just jump in the timestamp to the actual beginning of round 1, which will be linked below, but this is specific to the chainless starting double crochet. So the way that Johanna Huck instructs you to make the chainless starting double crochet in Clue 1 is you bring this loop up to about a double crochet height, and then you twist your hook counterclockwise. So you're twisting your hook toward your body, toward your lap, and then toward your left hand, and that is putting this twist in the loop right there. And then you're pinching that against the hook, and then you're making that same twisting motion again. So toward your body, toward your lap, toward your finger. And when you do it this time, what that's going to do is that's going to allow that loop to actually come over the hook like it's making a second strand of yarn over the, you can see it's all connected right here. Okay, so that loop is just coming around, but it's actually making that second loop, looks like a second loop on the hook. And then you're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull under that you just made, and then you can let go. And then you would go into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So what I just demonstrated just there is how Johanna instructs you to make the chainless starting double crochet in Clue 1. Now, I'm not going to be making my chainless starting double crochets quite that way, and I'm going to show you how I make them now. just so you're aware that as I go through, when I make the chainless starting double crochet, it is not exactly the way that she has it in the instructions. So when I make mine, I don't make that first twist. So I do pull up the loop to double height, and then I pinch, and I'm just going to twist once to make that loop come over the hook. Yarn over and pull under that, let go, into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two. Whoops, yarn over, pull through two. So that's how I make mine. It isn't quite as twisted as the one that she recommends, so please make yours the way that you prefer to make them, and not necessarily how I'm making mine. Just wanted you to be aware of the difference between how I'm making mine and how she actually instructs you to do it. So that is the chainless starting double crochet. Now, let's actually begin round 1. So we start with the chainless starting double crochet, however you want to make yours. Chain 2, and then we're going to make a double crochet into that same space. And every time we make this chain 2, we're creating a corner, okay? So what we do between the chain 2s is what's making each side of this block. So the next thing is 3 double crochets in the next stitch. 1, 2, 3. And then in the next stitch, we do a double crochet, chain 2, there's our next corner, and then another double crochet in the same stitch. 3 double crochets in the next stitch. 1, 2, 3. And then next stitch, we do a double crochet, chain 2, that's our corner, double crochet in the same stitch. In the next stitch, we do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. In the next stitch, we do a double crochet, chain 2, there's the corner, double crochet in the same stitch. And then in this final stitch, we do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. And then we are going to slip stitch to the chainless starting double crochet to join the round. Didn't get all the way through. I love the cream of worsted. It is lovely to work with, but sometimes getting through all the right number of stitches to get through one ply is a little tricky. So we do that slip stitch there. I'm going to mention this multiple times throughout. When you make this first slip stitch to join the round, you want to make sure this loop on your hook is not too tight. Okay? So when you go to make that slip stitch, make sure your loop is long enough on your hook before you make the slip stitch that it ends up being about the same size as the tops of your other stitches. Those slip stitch loops tend to be tighter. So if I were just going along and I did a slip stitch here as normal to the end of the round, what I normally do is I just kind of automatically snug that up on my hook before I even make the slip stitch, and then it gets snugged up even more. And so you can see the difference between this is regular stitch and then my slip stitch right next to it. You can see that. It's significantly smaller. So you want to make sure that that loop is basically the same size as the tops of each of your stitches, or it's going to be very hard to work into it when you come around to the next round. Okay? And then to finish out the round, so we did the slip stitch to join, but then we're going to slip stitch one more time in the corner. So where that chain 2 space was that we made at the very beginning, we're going to do a slip stitch there. All right? So she has you add a stitch marker to the first slip stitch for the beginning of a round. And since it's a little easier now that I have a little bit more fabric, I'm going to go ahead and do that here. All right. So just real quick, let's look at round 1 to make sure you have the right number of stitches. So for round 1, you want a total of 20 double crochet, and I find it easier to check my piece each time per side. All right, so per side is just without the chain 2s in the corner. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. There's your corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. That should be my corner. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that chainless starting double crochet at the beginning of that round is our 5th double crochet for this side. So each time you end a round, you will have the chain 2s in the corner and then each side. Okay? So that's round 1. Round 2 begins with a chainless starting double crochet, made however you prefer to make it. Chain 2, there's that first corner, and then double crochet into that same chain space. Hang on, I've got a little bit of a snarl in my yarn here. All right, so we begin with the chainless starting double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and then we are going to double crochet in each stitch across until we get to the corner. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's our 5 double crochets from the previous round. And then when we get to the corner, we're going to do a double crochet, chain 2, that's to make our new corner, double crochet, and that'll start the next side. So for this round, round 2, we have a total of 7 double crochets on each side, and we're just adding, so we had 5 in the previous round. So round 1, we had 5 double crochets aside. We have 7 in round 2, and where we're adding the new stitch, so we're adding 2 stitches per side, it's always going the double crochet at the beginning and the end of each side. So when we do that corner, we do the chain 2, that first double crochet in the corner is our new stitch on the right side of the side, and then we're working in the 5 stitches across, and then our new stitch, our second new stitch, goes in the second corner, and it's at the end of the side before we make that chain 2. All right, so I already made my double crochet in that stitch. So I did the double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and then again we're just doing a double crochet in each stitch across. And then in the corner again, we're doing a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and then we're going to double crochet in each stitch across. 1, 2, whoops, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the corner, we do the double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and then on this last side, we just work a double crochet in each stitch across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that final, the 5th one, actually goes in that slip stitch from the previous round. So I'm going to pull my stitch marker out, do that 5th one in the slip stitch, and then we're going to slip stitch to the chainless starting double crochet, which will be the last half double, or the last double crochet at the end of this side. And again, remember when I do that slip stitch, I want this loop on my hook to be not too tight. So that it's the same size as the tops of my other stitches. Stick my stitch marker back in, and then we do one more slip stitch to get back to the corner. All right, so again, for round 2, you're going to have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double crochets on each side with the chain 2s in each corner. Round 3. Round 3 is half double crochets, so we begin round 3 with a chain 3. So the chain 3 in the half double crochet rounds counts as a half double crochet and the chain 2 for the corner. Okay, so when we get to the end of this entire round and we slip stitch into the second chain, we actually have the half double crochet at the end of this side and then the chain 2 for the corner. All right, so we start with that chain 3 and then we work a half double crochet into the chain space. So that is our that counts as our half double crochet, the chain 2, and then a half double crochet for this corner. Then on this round, so we are going from, we had round 2, 7 double crochets per side. Round 3, which is where we are now, we are going to have 11, sorry, that should say half double crochets. Don't have the right color, but I'll fill it in here. Half double crochet. All right, so on this round, we are going to have 11 half double crochet per side. So we're going from 7 to 11, whereas in the previous round, we went from 5 to 7, where we just added 1 in either side. We're in the corner, okay? So we're adding stitches in round 3 by adding 1 in the corner like we did previously, but then also by expanding the first and the last stitch from 1 to 2. So we're working 2 stitches in the first stitch and 2 stitches in the last stitch. Okay, so we have our chain 3, we have our half double crochet, that's all in the corner, and then we're going to work 2 half double crochets in the first stitch. 1, 2, and then 1 half double crochet across in each stitch until we get to the last stitch. Now I'm on the last stitch, so that one gets 2 half double crochets in that stitch. And then half double crochet in the corner, chain 2 to make our new corner, half double crochet to begin the next side. And then if we look at this first side, so we have our chain in the first corner and the half double crochet in the corner of the previous round. So that's 1. And then 2 and 3 are in the first stitch. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are both in the last stitch. And then 11 is in the corner. So again, we have the half double crochet in the corner. That's 1. 2 and 3 go in the first stitch. Then 1 in each stitch, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'm at the last stitch, so 9 and 10 go in that one. 9, 10, and then 11 goes in the corner. So half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet, all that goes in the corner. All right, so I have my 1 in the corner, 2 in the first stitch, that's 2 and 3, and then 1 in each stitch, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I'm at the last stitch, this gets 2, so 9 and 10 go in that last stitch, and then 11 goes in the corner with a half double crochet, chain 2, and then we do another half double crochet here. in the corner, and that begins the last side. So there's 1, 2, and 3 go in the first stitch. 4, we're doing 1 in each stitch now. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9 and 10 are the 2 stitches that we work in the slip stitch of the previous round. So I'm take my stitch marker out, and then work 2 stitches, 2 half double crochets in that space. And that would be 9 and 10, and then 11 again is this chain 3 from the beginning that we're going to slip into, do a slip stitch into the second chain. And remember to keep your loop on your hook nice and loose here. So when you get to that space in the next round, you can work into it. So do the slip stitch, replace the marker, and then slip stitch again into the chain space in that corner to get to the end of the round. So again, round 3, you want a total of 11 half double crochets on each side. And the new half double crochets go 1 in the corner, and then you're working 2 stitches in the first stitch, 2 stitches in the last stitch, and then 1 more in the corner. Okay, round 4. So this is the beginning of the repeated rounds. Round 4 gets worked once and then repeated 3 more times. So round 4, round 8, round 12, and round 16 are all going to be the same. And this is the round where we work the half double crochet into the third loop of each stitch. So we're going to have a total of 15 half double crochets in each round, and we're going to be adding stitches the same way we did in round 3. So we're going from 11 half double crochets per side to 15, which means we're adding 4 stitches each side, and we're adding them in the same place. So like we did with round 3, we're going to have 1 in each corner. So 1 at the beginning of the side, 1 at the end of the side, where we work the half double crochet into the chain 2 part of the corner. And then we're working 2 into the first stitch and 2 into the last stitch of each side. And the only difference here is that instead of working the half double crochets into the normal space, we're actually working into the third loop. So I'm just going to talk about this very quickly because Shandy covered it already in the official video, which is also linked in the description below. But this is the part where I got off camera last time, so I'm going to try really hard to stay on camera while zoomed in. So normally, when we look at the front of our work, when we work into a stitch, we're going underneath the legs of this top of the stitch right here. So we're going underneath there, yarning over, and we're pulling through to make the stitch above. In the case of working in the third loop, we're actually rotating our work. So if you kind of pinch between your thumb and finger and you rotate your work, you're looking for behind the third leg. Actually, it doesn't, so you can see these legs are kind of, I'm trying to think of what the right word is, angled toward you. Okay, so kind of down and at an angle towards you. The third loop is angled in the opposite way, so it's actually kind of pointing this way. If you see the way that my hook is moved, it's this loop back here that's kind of angled down toward the fabric and to the right. Okay. You're always going to be working into that third loop there. So watch Shandy's video if you need a better explanation than what I just gave. Thank you. All right, so to begin round 4, we start again with a chain 3. And again, because this is a half double crochet round, that chain 3 functions as both the chain 2 of the corner and the half double crochet that's going to be at the very end of this round that we're going to do a slip stitch to. So chain 3, and then work a half double crochet in the chain space below. All right, and then we are just going to work 2 half double crochets in the third loop of the first stitch. So that one for me is always the trickiest one to find. because you don't want to get that first chain. You actually want to get the first stitch. So into the third loop, going to work 2 stitches in that first one, and then 1 stitch in each stitch across. And you can see I'm kind of, I use my, my thumb and my second finger to just kind of rotate the, like I almost twist the fabric each time just to get it angled a little bit so I can see where that third loop is. And then when you get to the very end of the side is where you're going to work 2 half double crochets into the final stitch. And I will work the corner, which is a half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. And then before I move on, I'm just going to count to ensure that I have the correct number here. This is the row that for me is the trickiest to make sure I have the correct number of stitches. So again, I am looking for a total of 15 half double crochets per side. So I know that my first one is this one here in the corner, and then 2 and 3 are in the first stitch. Then I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13 and 14 are in the last stitch, and then 15 is in the corner. So when you're working round 8, or you're working round 12, or you're working round 16, you're actually looking for the same setup. 1 in the corner, 2 in the first stitch, 1 in each stitch across, 2 in the last stitch, and then 1 in the corner again. But you're looking for 27 total on round 8. And, sorry, that's way up there. 39 across each side for round 12, and 51 across each side for round 16. So it's always going to be, no matter which of these rounds you're on, it's always going to be 1 in the corner, 2 and 3 are in the first stitch, and then you're just going to be counting all the way across, and when you get to the last stitch is where, for round 4, it's 13 and 14. For round 8, it's 25 and 26. For round 12, it's 37 and 38, and round 16, it's 49 and 50. And then that last stitch, the 15th, or the 27th, or the 39th, or the 51st stitch, is the one that you make in the corner each time. So when you're doing your counts, just make sure that you're looking for the 1, 2, and 3 are in the first stitch, and then whichever stitches before this last number, so whether it's before 15, or before 27, or before 39, or before 51, the 2 stitches before that should be in 1 stitch. They should be in the last stitch of the side. Okay, so 2 stitches in that last stitch of the side, and then the 1 in the corner should be this number. Okay? So we're just going to continue working that across. I've already done my corner, so I have my first half double crochet of this side, and then 2 and 3, again, are going to go in the third loop of that first stitch. So it's 3, and then I have 1 stitch, 1 half double crochet in each stitch. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then because I'm coming to the end of my side, I know that this last stitch gets 2. So because I'm on round 4, this is 13 and 14. And then the final stitch of that side goes in the corner where we do the half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. Sorry, my yarn is not sliding out of my ball the way I need it to, so let me get a little bit more going here. Okay, so that first half double crochet of the side has already been done because I did the corner where I did the half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. So then I'm back to in the third loop, and the first stitch gets 2. So I have number 1 is in the corner, and this is 2 and 3. And then 1 in each stitch across in the third loop. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then just keep in mind which round you're on. So I'm on round 4, so this is 13 and 14 that goes in the last stitch. But if you were on round 8, it would be 25 and 26. If you're on round 12, it would be 37 and 38. And if you're on round 16, it would be 49 and 50. And then that last stitch goes in the corner. Chain 2, half double crochet. And then we're working the side again. So 2 stitches in the first stitch in the third loop. 2, 3, and then 1 in each stitch across. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 13 and 14 goes in the third loop of that slip stitch, which is kind of hard to get to, even though I made it loose. Get my stitch marker out of there before it gets trapped for good. So remember, the last stitch of the round, you're doing 2 in the back loop of the slip stitch for that that final side, and then you're doing a not too tight loop on the hook, slip stitch into the second chain to join the round. Oops. Try that again. Nope. Third time's a charm. Again, I'm making sure this loop on my hook is not too tight. Whoops. I'm supposed to slip stitch there. Okay. And then we do one more slip stitch to the beginning of the round. All right. Place my marker. And that is the end of round 4, but also the end of these rounds. So here again are your stitch counts if you need them. Per side, round 4 should have 15 half double crochets. Round 8 should have 27 half double crochets. Round 12 should have 39. And round 16 should have 51. And again, your new stitches are going 1 in the corner, and then the first stitch of the round is going to have 2 in it. So your first new stitch is here, your second new stitch is here, and then your third new stitch is over here at the end of the round where you have 2 stitches in one, and then the fourth one is in the corner again for each side. So you have the new stitches 1, 2, 3, 4, and the new stitches is we're doubling up 1 stitch at the beginning and 1 stitch at the end, and then the 2 in the corners. Okay? Moving on to round 5. So round 5 also gets repeated. We work it once and then we repeat it twice. And round 5 has a combination of double crochets and chain spaces. And so we are adding stitches here, but it's kind of tough to see, like, between, because we're changing the stitch type, and we're not even just, it's not that we're going from half double crochets to double crochets, but we're alternating double crochets and chain spaces. And even that is not exact, because we're going to have double crochets at the beginning that are right next to each other, and at the end of each side that are right next to each other, and then chain spaces in between. And so looking at the per side from round 4 to round 5 isn't a great, it's not like an easy calculation to do, because while we are only adding, so this is a total of 27 stitches, or 17 stitches, sorry. So we're going from 15 to 17. The new stitches that we're adding are in the corner, but it's a little odd across. So we're going to talk about working across the row after I work one side. So round 5, we're back to double crochet. So we begin with the chainless starting double crochet. Oops. Into stitch. And then chain 2, that's our corner, and then a double crochet. And then we are going to work a double crochet in the first stitch, and then we're going to work chain 1, skip 1. So when we chain 1, we're skipping the next stitch and then working a double crochet into the stitch after that. Okay, so chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, 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 chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. And if you work this, if you've worked in the correct stitches, your final double crochet should land in the last stitch of the previous round side. Okay, does that make sense? So the final double crochet goes in the top of this last stitch. And then when we get to the corner, we work a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. And let's pause a second here and look at our side. So you can see the way this works is you're going to have a double crochet next to a double crochet at the beginning of the side. So we have our chain 2 space here in the corner, and then double crochet, chain, double crochet, chain, double crochet, chain, double crochet, chain, all the way across until we get to this last stitch, and then there's going to be a double crochet right next to a double crochet, and that's the end of the side and the corner. So beginning of the side and the corner, or the corner and the beginning of the side are right next to each other, and then you've got the skip stitch all the way across. The last stitch goes in the last stitch of the previous round, and then a double crochet right next to it in the corner. So then when you're counting your stitches for this round, you're counting your 10 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on that side, and then your chain spaces in between those. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, I hope my hand, I was worried about that, like my hand is covering where I'm showing you I'm counting. So 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chain spaces. We're not counting these chain 2s in the corner. It's just the chain spaces between these double crochets on the sides. Okay, so when you're working the next rounds, it's going to look the same. You're going to have the 2 double crochets on the side, so 1 in the corner and 1 in the first stitch, and then the chain, double crochet, chain, double crochet, chain, all the way across. That last double crochet is going to go in the last stitch, and then a double crochet right next to it in the corner. Whether you're working on round 5 or round 9 or round 13, you should be able to get your stitch counts correct if you have those 2 double crochets at the beginning. That first one is in the corner, the second one is in the first stitch, and then the last one, or the second to last one, is in the last stitch, and the last one is in the corner. So I already did this corner. I did the half double crochet, or the double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. So then I do a double crochet in the first stitch, which I always have time. It's a little harder to find. Let's see. So first stitch, and then chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. And you're just going to work that all the way across. Chain, skip, double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet. And remember, if you do this right, your last double crochet should end up in the last stitch, and then you just do the double crochet in the corner, chain 2, double crochet. So this is a round where it's always a good idea to count your stitches as you finish each side, so you don't get too far along without. So again, I want 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 7 chain spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm right on track. And now I have to get more yarn out. There's something about this setup that my yarn just does not want to slide out easily, or possibly when I'm just working and not trying to make a video, I don't keep as, like, I just don't notice when I'm stopping to pull yarn out as much. All right, so I did my corner, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. So double crochet in the first stitch of this side, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, 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 all the way across. And then the final one should go in the top of your last stitch. And then in the corner, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. And again, just really quickly, I'm going to count to make sure I have 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 7 chain spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, final side. So I've already worked the corner. So I double crochet in the first stitch. And I did not. Actually double crocheted in the second stitch. Try that again. Sometimes the top of your stitch below gets covered up when you work this corner, so you always want to make sure you are actually working into the top of that first stitch. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet. And on this final side, if you do it correctly, that final double crochet should end up where your stitch marker is in that last slip stitch, which is right next to the chainless starting double crochet that we did at the beginning of round. So when we slip to join the round, sorry, let me get my stitch marker out of here. When we do the slip stitch to join here, that is actually going to be the double crochet that's next to this one at the end of the side. So remember, slip stitch, make sure this loop on your hook's nice and loose. And then slip stitch again in the corner, Put my stitch marker back. Okay. So then when I look at this last side that I did, again, we've got that first one in the corner, and then the one that the first double crochet is in the corner, and then the double crochet that's right next to it is in the first stitch of this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 is my chainless starting double crochet from the beginning of the round. And then my chain spaces 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so as long as you're counting, once you start getting into the repeated rounds, you really just want to make sure that you're counting your sides as you go. That's what's going to help keep you on track throughout the continuing rounds. So if you get off, let's say that you start to work your next round and you don't have the right number of stitches across here, as long as you've got the stitches, like you confirm that each side of the previous round was correct, you shouldn't have to tear out more than a side at any given point when you're making the additional rounds. Because as long as the previous round was all correct, then once you make a side and you count, if something's off, all you got to do is rip back to the beginning of that side, figure out where the stitches are supposed to go, and then redo the side. It should be a short fix and not a long fix. Okay, round 6, again, is a repeated round, so we work it once and then repeat it 2 more times. And if you look from round 5, we're actually, let's see, get those back both in the frame. So from round 5 to round 6, we're going from 10 double crochets to 11 double crochets. And then we're going from 7 chain spaces to 8 chain spaces. But the when we make this next round, it's going to look almost identical to this round that we just made. That is, there are going to be 2 double crochets right next to each other on the right side of each side, and 2 next to each other on the left side of each side. It's just that we're skipping one of the ones that we made and making a chain space instead. And so that's how the count just barely, like we're still going up 2 stitches total. We're going from 17 stitches to 19 stitches, or from, let's see, what's that, 29 to 31, and so on. We're taking away one of the previous stitches and adding a new stitch, if that makes sense. Like we're using up. So we are still, so when you look at your work, actually the stitches that we're adding are just the double crochets in the corner. It's just that we're putting a double crochet where a chain was, and we're putting a chain where a double crochet was, and that kind of changes the stitch count a little bit between those two. If that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. It barely made sense to me when I just said it. So, but anyway, here are the stitch counts for round 6. Take 5 out of there so you don't get confused. Stitch counts for round 6. So we're looking for 11 double crochets and 8 chain spaces. For round 10, 17 double crochet and 14 chain spaces. This is per side. And for round 14, 23 double crochet and 20 chain spaces. And again, there's going to be one in the corner and one right next, double crochet in the corner and a double crochet right next to it. And then it's just going to be chain, double crochet, chain, double crochet. And the only difference between the way that we work this and the way that we work the previous round is that all the double crochets after you work the first one of the round are going to go over it. They're going to go into a chain space, and we're skipping the double crochets from before. So we're doing a double crochet in the first stitch, skipping the second double crochet, and then each double crochet that we make is going in the chain space, and each skip is the double crochet. I hope that made sense. All right, so because it's the double crochet round, again, round 6, we are starting with a chainless starting double crochet. Chain 2 for the corner, and then double crochet. And then we're going to double crochet in the first stitch, chain 1, skip 1, and the first one that we skip is going to be this second double crochet that's right next to it. And then we're going to work a double crochet into the chain space. So when we chain and we skip, we're always skipping the double crochet, and when we double crochet, we're always working into the chain space. So chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the chain space, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the chain space, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the chain space, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the chain space, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the chain space, chain 1, skip 1, and now so we're skipping this double crochet, and the next double crochet is going to go in the last stitch of this side. So the last double crochet goes into the top of the double crochet, and then to finish the side we do the double crochet in the corner, and then chain 2 to make the corner, and then the next double crochet actually begins that second side. So then when we look at this first side with our stitch count, we're looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 double crochets, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chain spaces. Okay, so if you're on round 10, you want 17, again, 2 at the very beginning, 1 in the corner and 1 in the first stitch, and then chain with a space, and then the double crochets are going into the chains from the round below all the way across. The second to last double crochet goes into the, so we have the skip. We're skipping over that second to last from the previous round and working a double crochet in the last double crochet from the previous round, and then a double crochet in the corner. So 2 right next to each other in the corners. Okay? So I've already worked my corner stitches here. I did the double crochet, the chain 2, and the double crochet. So then for this side, again, we double crochet in the first stitch, chain 1, skip this next stitch, work a double crochet in the chain space, chain 1, skip the double crochet, work a double crochet in the chain space, chain 1, skip the double crochet, work a double crochet in the chain space, chain, skip, double crochet in the chain space, chain, skip, double crochet in the chain space, and you're just working that all the way across until you have those 2 double crochets in a row. Chain, double crochet, chain 1, skip this double crochet, work a double crochet in the last one, and then in the corner, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. So again, check your side really quick. It only takes a few seconds to count up your stitches, and you're just looking for the number of double crochet. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yep. So we got my 11, and then my chain space is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then if you're on a different round, 10 or 14, you're just checking for 17 double crochet and 14 chain spaces, or 23 double crochet and 20 chain spaces. All right. So I worked my corner again. So the double crochet, chain 2, double crochet is the corner. And then I work a double crochet into the first stitch of this side, chain 1, skip that second double crochet, work a double crochet into the chain space, chain 1, skip this one, double crochet in the chain space, all the way across. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the chain space, chain, skip, double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet, chain, skip that second to last double crochet in the first double crochet, and then double crochet in the next, in the corner. Chain 2, double crochet, stop, check your stitch count really quick. 1, 2, whoops, try to do this without getting my hand over that so you can use it too. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, final side. We already worked the corner. So the first double crochet goes in the first stitch, chain, skip, double crochet in the chain space, chain, skip, double crochet in the chain space, all the way across. And when we get to the end of the round, we have below that double crochet and then the chainless starting double crochet with our slip stitch in it. And that is where our final double crochet gets made. It's right there in that slip. Remove my stitch marker. Probably should remove my stitch marker before I make the stitch. Okay, and then our beginning of round, the double crochet that's going to be right next to that is actually our chainless starting double crochet from the beginning of the round. So I'm going to slip stitch there. And remember to keep this loop on your hook nice and loose when you do the slip stitch. And then another slip stitch in the corner. Put back my stitch marker for the beginning of the round. And that, again, is round 6. And if you want to do your count on that final side, so I've got my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 being that chainless starting double crochet from the beginning of the round is your last stitch. So for round 10, that's your 17th stitch. For round 14, it's your 23rd stitch. And then chain spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. Round 7. So this is the final round that we work before beginning the repeat. So round 7. So from 6 to 7, we're going from a total of 19 stitches between the double crochets and the chain spaces per side to a total of 23, and this is all half double crochet. So when we work this round, we're adding 4 stitches per side, and the way that we're doing that is we are adding 1 in the corner and then making the first stitch into 2 stitches. So this first stitch, we're doing 2 stitches, so plus 1 here in the corner, plus 1 in this first stitch, and then half double crochets all the way across until we get to the last stitch, which also gets 2 stitches. So plus the third stitch is going to be here in that last stitch. It's going to be the second time the second stitch that we make in this last stitch, and then plus 1 in the corner when we make the half double crochet in the corner before the chain space. Okay, so we're adding 1 stitch in the corner, 1 stitch in the first stitch, working each stitch all the way across to the last stitch where we work 2 stitches. So we're adding another stitch there and adding a stitch in the corner for these totals when you get to each round. So for round 7, you'll have a total of 23 half double crochets across. For round 11, you'll have 35 half double crochets across each side. And for round 15, you'll have a total of 47 half double crochets across each side. All right, because this is a half double crochet round, we begin with a chain 3, which again, the chain 3 is the half double crochet for the very end of the round and the chain 2 space for this corner. And we work a half double crochet into that chain space from the previous round. And, sorry, I need to move my cheat sheet a little bit. All right, so we are going to be working 2 half double crochets in the first stitch. 1, 2, and because I already have this half double crochet in the corner, this is technically stitch 2 and 3. So we have 1 in the corner, 2 and 3 in the first stitch, and then 1 in each stitch across. So this is 4 in the stitch, 5 goes in the chain space, 6 goes in the stitch, 7 goes in the chain space, 8 goes in the stitch, 9 goes in the chain space, 10 goes in the stitch, 11 goes in this chain space, 12 goes in the stitch, 13 goes in the chain space, 14 goes in the stitch, 15 goes in the chain space, 16 goes in the stitch, 17 goes in the chain space, 18 goes in the stitch, 19 goes in the chain space, 20 goes in the stitch, and now I'm coming to the end of my side. So for the repeat, for rows 11 and 15, you're going to be much further along. But then, so for me, I'm on 20. If you are on round 11, you would be on, let's see, you would have just made 32. And on round 15, you would have just made 44. Okay, so for round 7, 21 and 22 go in this last, 21 and 22 go in this last stitch, because we're making 2 in that last stitch. If you're in round 11, then 33 and 34 go in that last. And if you're on round 15, then 45 and 46 go in that last stitch. And then in the corner, I make 23, or for round 11, number 35, and for round 15, number 47. All right, so I do that last half double crochet in the chain space, chain 2, and then begin the next side with a half double crochet. That's 1. Then I do 2 in the first stitch, so this is 2 and 3. And then 1 in each stitch across, so 4 goes in the top of the double crochet, 5 goes in the chain space, 6 goes in the stitch, 7 goes in the chain space, 8 goes in the stitch, in the chain space, that's 9, 10 goes in the stitch, 11 goes in the chain space, 12 goes in the stitch, 13 in the chain space, 14 in the stitch, 15 in the chain space. So if you notice, the even numbered stitches are going in the stitch, the odd numbered stitches are going in the chain space, all the way across until you get to, you'll have 2 stitches in a row. So the first one gets 1 stitch, the second one gets 2 stitches, and then when you get to the end in that corner, you're going to do half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. And again, if you want to stop and count your side before you move on to the next side, remember you have your first stitch in this corner. So after the chain 2, you have 1, 2, and 3 in the first stitch, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and then 23 is in the corner. And you just want to make sure that you have the 1 in the corner, 2 in the first stitch, 1 in each stitch across until you get to the last stitch, which should have 2 and then 1 in the corner. And those are your stitch counts for each, for the side for each of those rounds. All right, next side, we did the corner already, the half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. So we get 2 half double crochets go in the first stitch, and then 1 in each stitch and each chain space all the way across. And when you get to the end of the side, you work into the stitch, and then because there's a stitch right next to it instead of a chain space, that's your indication that that's the last stitch of the side, which you work 2 half double crochets into, and then half double crochet in the corner, chain 2, half double crochet in the corner. Sorry, I'm going to take a drink. This is more talking. than I normally do. Or more, I hope it's just more talking in a row than I normally do, and not just more talking in general. All right, so for our final side, again, I've already done the corner. So then that first stitch gets 2 half double crochets, 1, 2, and then we're going to do a half double crochet in each stitch and each chain space across. Stitch, chain space, stitch, chain space, stitch, chain space, stitch, space, stitch, space, stitch, space, stitch, and we're coming to the end of this final side. So we get 1 half double crochet in that first stitch, and then where your stitch marker is that going to be that final stitch where it gets 2. So 2 half double crochets in that slip stitch space. And then we're going to do a slip stitch to the second chain, making sure that loop on your hook is nice and loose. And then slip stitch once more to get to the corner and replace your stitch marker. And that is the end of round 7, where we're just doing the half double crochets around. There's the counts again if you need them. Remember, you want to check each side between the chain 2 spaces, which, because of the half double crochets, they're a little hidden, like you can barely see them, but if you feel for them, you should be able to find them. And remember, your new stitches are going 1 in each corner at the beginning of the side, 2 in the first stitch of the side, 2 in the last stitch of the side, and then 1 in the corner again, for a total of 4 new stitches. 1 in the corner, 1 in the first stitch, 1 in the last stitch, and 1 in the corner are your 4 new stitches, no matter which round you're on. So as long as you're counting your stitches as you work each side and making sure that you have the correct number, you should be on track to, at this point, you're going back to work a round 4 again. So to work round 8, you're going to just work round the same way you did as round 4. You're just working in the back loop again, like with round 4. And this time you're going to end up with 27 half double crochets, and then the next time with 39, and the final time with 51. So before I turn everything off, I just want to discuss, I'm not going to work it for you, but I'm just going to talk about round 17. So you end the repeated rounds with a round 16. So you're working a round 4 with the working into the back loop for the final time right before you finish. So you have 1 round after this round 16. And let's see. So for round 16, you end with 51 half double crochets per side. Okay. When you work round 52, you go from 51 half double crochets per side to 52. And the reason for that is you no longer have corners. I mean, technically you will have a corner, but you're not working the chain 2 corners like you've been working all the way through up to round. When you get to round 17, you'll no longer be working a chain 2 to make the corner. You're going to be working a half double crochet in each corner. And the reason we're going from 51 to 52 and not 51 to 53 is you're just working 1 half double crochet, and it's almost like you have 4 sides. So you work a half double crochet and then the 51 from the row below, and then the half double crochet in the corner, and then the 51 from the row below, and then the half double crochet in the corner, and then the 51 from the row below, and then the half double crochet in the corner, and the 51 from the row below. So it's like the one in the corner begins that side. And so you'll just have 52 half double crochet across each side with no corners, if that makes sense. So you might just want to, when you get to round 17, you might just want to count your stitches. You need 208 half double crochet in total, and you're just adding 1 stitch in each corner and that's all you're adding to round 17. I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that it shows you what you need to show. And again, the timestamps are linked in the video description, so you can jump back to the beginning of each of the repeated rounds and work those. Let me know if there's anything else I can show you or anything I can do that will be helpful. Thanks.